it's up. You get more pressure to make nicer things. And it's like, holy moly, this was just a hobby. And now I got like requests and the following that I have. So it's really going to be focusing on creating higher quality work. Because again, this was a hobby. This was like things I was doing for fun. And then it turned into something else. So I'm going to focus more on making like higher quality items and just keeping this momentum going. I don't know where it's going to take me. It might stay as like a nice part-time fun thing, but who knows? We'll just have to see like next year, like what happens. We'll see. That's all.
Okay. Any advice for any, up and coming creators, jewelry, artistic folks?
Just focus on what you love doing and don't put too much pressure on yourself. I put on so much pressure the first year that, sometimes I felt like I was physically ill. Like I made myself feel bad on days where no one else was making me feel bad. I was just making myself feel bad because, there's pressure there to create good work, but, don't make it so bad to where you're holding yourself to an unbelievable standard. So just do what you love and, realize that this is your purpose and it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. Like do good work, make a good living and be honest, but don't push yourself too hard because that's when it gets pretty bad. There are a couple of times where I thought, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What do other people think? Like I kept focusing on what other people thought that I wasn't able to think like, what do I think? What do I want? What do I feel like I need to do? So just balancing the pressure is definitely my biggest piece of advice. However you're going to do that. For me, I just turn it off. I turn off my social media. I take my breaks and I try not to focus too much on what other people think. And that's the only thing you can do sometimes is just make yourself not dwell on things that other people think. Because I've had people tell me, your stuff's not very good. Your stuff's not as good as it could be. And it's like, you got to tell yourself, like, that's okay. I think my stuff's good. I think my stuff's bomb. Like, you think when I think about my stuff is bomb. So you just got to tell yourself that. Yeah, you really have to. Like, even if you have to look in the mirror and say, you are so awesome, like you're bomb. Like, it's crazy because that pressure, the opinions, it's there. And so, yeah, just being confident and not putting too much pressure on yourself. So the biggest advice I can give, and unfortunately, this is not something every artist can do, is to get on social media and get online. That's been the basis for my success, is knowing how to market and interact on social media. The unfortunate part of that is if you're someone who hasn't regularly used social media, that can be very difficult for you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. I've helped a couple of artists kind of find their social media presence where they haven't used social media before, and you just need to get on social media, Facebook, Instagram, by any means necessary. You got a savvy niece, nephew that can help you. That's really where the sales are at. That's how people get to know you. That's the quickest way you're going to advance yourself is when people see your social media presence. And unfortunately, again, that's not something every person can do. But that's my biggest advice is if you haven't already, get online on Instagram or Facebook and start interacting and posting your stuff.
Koe nakpak again, Kava, for sharing your story on Kawahine Iñupiaq. Part 2 and 3 of this episode will feature Alaska Native artist Delaney Thiel from her earring company Cloudberry and Lisa Apengaluk from Iñupiaq Jewelry. The introduction music for this episode was created by Jesse Darling, and the transition music was created by Robbie Villalon, aka Blurvy Beats. This episode is sponsored by Northwest Strategies, an Alaska Native and woman-owned full-service brand marketing and communications firm committed to elevating Indigenous voices. Northwest Strategies celebrates and advances Alaska's first people with purpose and pride through inclusive and authentic representation in media. Learn how Northwest Strategies is changing the narrative at nwstrat.com or check them out on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Alice Paniklen, over and out.